We released 15 episodes in the last 3 months, showing over 200 crashes and crazy videos. We put together the videos you like the most in this Ultimate Dashcam Stories episode. Cameron was driving his Nissan Altima on I-39 in San Antonio, Texas. All of a sudden, he got pit maneuvered by a semi-truck.
Did it now. The cop looks truck! God! You mother!
The semi-truck merged into Cameron's car, which sent the sedan spinning across 2 lanes before getting T-boned by a Volkswagen Beetle. Both he and the Beetle hit the concrete barrier before spinning to a stop on the shoulder. They both made police reports and filed insurance claims. The truck driver said he hadn't seen Cameron's car. Marvin was driving his Chevrolet Camaro SS to work when he witnessed an accident. A Dodge Charger approached a yellow light, and Marvin says that on this very sunny morning, it was difficult to see the traffic light. The driver of the Charger didn't attempt to slow down. A white van turning left had a yellow yield light and began turning, and the Charger T-boned it. The impact was hard enough to spin the van 180 degrees. Marvin approached the Charger and managed to get the driver's side door open. All the airbags had deployed, and the driver was dazed and complaining of right wrist pain. The driver of the white van was okay and didn't need to be checked out, but the driver of the Charger was taken to the hospital. Marvin isn't sure of the outcome, but he thinks the fault might have been split 50-50. He wants to know what you think. Leave a comment and tell us who you think was at fault. Dan was waiting at a red light in his Honda Civic when he witnessed a head-on collision. The driver of a silver SUV turning left failed to yield to a black sedan, resulting in a massive crash. First responders arrived within minutes, and the drivers were able to walk away from their vehicles without any significant injuries. Derek had just picked his daughter up from the babysitter's house and was on his way home when he approached a traffic light that had just turned green. Traffic in his lane hadn't started moving yet, so he had to slow to a stop while waiting for the cars in front of him to start moving. That's when he felt an impact.
Oh!
A lady in a Jeep rear-ended him at 45 miles per hour, sending him crashing into the car in front of him. Both Derek and his daughter walked away from the accident without any injuries at all. Unfortunately, the lady driving the car Derek had been pushed into was pregnant, so she requested that an ambulance take her to the hospital just to be safe. The police were called to the scene, and the Jeep driver was found to be 100% at fault. Unfortunately, Derek's car was totaled. Here comes a story involving a different orange car, and it's from Ryan, who was driving his Nissan Xterra full of friends when, all of a sudden...
You dumb
Ryan tried his best to stop, but he simply didn't have enough time. After the shock wore off and the police had arrived, the other driver and one of his friends ended up going to the hospital. His friend was released that night with no injuries, and he never heard from the other driver. Ryan filed an insurance claim, and they said his car was totaled, but Ryan and his mom fought tooth and nail for money to fix it up instead. This car means everything to him. After 6 months of waiting, she was finally fixed. Ryan says the orange beast never dies. This was one of 4 accidents Ryan had in this car in 2021. Apparently, people have a hard time seeing the color orange. I was driving my Hyundai XG350 along one day with my wife Melissa in the passenger seat when I slowed to a stop to make a left turn across traffic to get to my house just 2 blocks away. The driver of a pickup truck behind me wasn't paying attention and rear-ended my car at about 35 miles per hour. Luckily, my foot was already on the brake, so I didn't get pushed into any oncoming cars. I pulled off the road and helped the pickup driver get out of the road so we could exchange contact information. Melissa called 911 and the fire department came and checked everyone out.
Okay. Really bad whiplash.
She'd hurt her neck, and I'd hit the bill of my hat on the steering wheel, which left a small cut on my forehead. I'd also hurt my neck and back, but fortunately, nobody needed to go to the hospital. I was able to drive my car the remaining 2 blocks home, but it was totaled. The pickup driver's insurance provider paid for the car and for our medical treatment. After the accident, the pickup driver tried telling his insurance provider that the accident had been my fault because he hadn't seen me, as if that was somehow my fault. After I sent my dashcam videos to both insurance companies, they ruled 100% in my favor and found the pickup driver to be fully at fault. I know my car looks weird, so let me offer a little explanation. I used to produce an audio podcast called Foamcast Radio all about the Nerf Blaster hobby, and I decorated my car to promote it. You can still go listen to the podcast, by the way. Someday I might even make some new episodes. Noah was on his way home in San Diego, California in his 2016 Ford Fusion. He'd told his wife to take their 1.5-year-old baby home in her car and he'd meet her there. Suddenly, the driver of a gray Honda Civic turned in front of him at an intersection. Noah was knocked unconscious and the other driver fled the scene. Police responded and Noah was transported to a hospital with only minor injuries. Unfortunately, Noah's Fusion was totaled, but the good news is that the San Diego Police Department caught the Civic driver that same night. This submitter was driving her Acura in Yonkers, New York, when the driver of an unmarked van made an illegal U-turn across her lane. Unfortunately, the submitter's vehicle was totaled. The driver of the van then took off, turning this accident into a hit and run. The submitter contacted the police, but they had no luck deciphering the license plate number. If you recognize this white, unmarked GMC Savannah or know who it belongs to, please contact us directly, and we'll pass the information along to the submitter. Angie was driving her BMW X1 on a highway in Canada when she approached a yield sign at an on-ramp. Another driver ignored the yield sign, cutting into traffic and forcing other drivers up ahead to slam on their brakes. Angie was following too closely and couldn't stop in time and rear-ended a Jeep. Luckily, the Audi driver behind her managed to stop a few inches short of her bumper. Angie filed an insurance claim and her BMW was deemed a total loss. Since the value of used cars has skyrocketed, she actually got back exactly what she paid for it over 20 months ago. The Jeep that she hit had a steel bumper that didn't even get scratched, so the driver didn't even bother to file an insurance claim. John was driving his Ford Mustang Mach-E in Huntsville, Alabama. As he approached an intersection on a green light, the woman coming from the right ran her red light. John slammed on the brakes, but he had no chance to stop in time and crashed into the back of the Kia. They filed insurance claims at the scene and the woman took full responsibility. I guess John's dashcam footage would be hard to argue against. The rear bumper cover of the Kia was torn off, and at first the damage to John's Mach-E didn't look too bad. Unfortunately, John later found out that the shop wouldn't be able to fix it for 3 months due to long wait times on replacement parts. The car is undrivable because the forward-facing sensor is now angled to the side, so the car slams on the emergency brakes whenever another car passes it. John's insurance provider gave him a Dodge Ram 1500, pretty much the opposite of an EV. He's thankful he wasn't going any faster and that he has a dash cam. He also recommends that everyone should invest in a quality dash cam. Damien was driving his Kia Sportage home in Auckland, New Zealand. He'd been visiting a friend, and about 2 minutes from his house, he entered an intersection on a green light. Oh man, these videos sure are more dramatic when they include audio. That's Damien we hear screaming in the video. He told us he was okay at first and only had a sore arm. A vehicle coming from the right ran a red light and T-boned him on the driver's side. The offender then drove off, making it a hit and run. Fortunately, the impact caused the bumper, including the license plate, to fall off the vehicle, so the offender turned themselves in 30 minutes after the accident. Emergency services ended up arriving and clearing the scene. The police took Damien's statement, but they never followed up, even though Damien tried multiple times to get in touch with them. Damien is now receiving physical therapy and was admitted to the hospital a month ago due to ongoing moderate to severe headaches. He was diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome, a contusion, and a lumbar injury. The offender has been summoned to court but has pled not guilty, so the court case is still ongoing. Damien's insurance provider determined that the other driver, who was uninsured, was at fault, so the vehicle has been deemed totaled. The repair bill would have been over 30,000 New Zealand dollars or over 20,000 US dollars, which is similar to the actual value of the car. Rafal was driving in Bensonville, Illinois. As he was turning from Foster Avenue onto Bussey Road, he pulled up alongside a Tesla Model 3. When Rafal hit the accelerator, so did the driver of the Tesla. The Tesla driver tried to squeeze in front of Rafal, but another car was merging into that lane from the right at the same time. The Tesla driver hit the brakes, but he still ended up impacting the trailer of a semi-truck. James' mother was driving her Volvo XC70 at around 70 miles per hour. She'd just come over a blind crest when she came across a man standing in the middle of the road. She tried to go around him on his left, but the man lunged into her path to pick up something from the road. Instead, she veered to the right and the car went flying off the road and ended up in a tree in someone's yard. The jaywalker then calmly walked over to the wrecked Volvo, but he took off as soon as neighbors arrived and other drivers stopped to help. Thankfully, everyone survived. Since the impact was on the rear end of the car, no airbags deployed. James' mother sustained a mild concussion, but her friend in the passenger seat walked away without a scratch. The car was deemed a total loss by her insurance provider. Robert was headed home in his Volkswagen Golf Plus after picking up his mother from work. Suddenly, the driver of a Ford Focus ran a stop sign. Robert expertly maneuvered between the cars parked on either side of the street, managing to only scratch one of them. Unfortunately, his car was totaled. Even worse, Robert's mother had to receive medical treatment for almost a month. He also had joint pain from yanking so hard on the steering wheel. The Focus driver's insurance provider went bankrupt, and it took almost 8 months for Robert to get a settlement of a little over 6,000 US dollars. He'd paid over 8,000 US dollars for the car and another 2,000 US dollars to fix the engine, so he feels like the insurance company didn't give him what he was owed. Still, he's glad the car protected them both from further injury. Jean-Paul was driving down a narrow road in Germany when he lost control of his van while trying to pass another vehicle coming the other direction. Each driver moved to make room for the other, but Jean-Paul's van lost traction, swerving off the road and rolling over before finally stopping. Jean-Paul was taken to the hospital in an ambulance, but he was able to leave the same day. Unfortunately, his van was totaled. Thankfully, he was able to replace it with a new one. Jordan was driving his BMW 340i in New Jersey when he noticed a dark-colored Acura driving erratically. Check out what happened after Jordan had been following the Acura for a while.
Oh, there was just an accident. Oh, bro. Holy I just witnessed a accident. Holy
Yeah.
Holy
Heard it.
bro.
I heard it.
Bro. Yo.
I heard it.
Nah, let me get out.
After the Acura drifted across a lane line and struck another vehicle, it crashed into the center divider before ricocheting across the highway and into the guardrail. Jordan stopped and checked on the driver, who asked him who hit who. This leads Jordan to believe he'd either fallen asleep at the wheel or he was driving under the influence. Fortunately, the drivers of both vehicles were okay. Jordan sent his dashcam footage to the driver of the white Corolla. Raph was driving his Toyota Camry through New York City on a street with a speed limit of 25 miles per hour. He was proceeding through a green light, giving plenty of room for a double-parked vehicle and traffic in the left turn lane, when a car coming the other way swerved around traffic, slamming into Raph before he could react. His dashcam lost power when the impact occurred, so the video stops at this point. The vehicle that hit him was stolen and it slammed into him at 55 miles per hour. Both vehicles were obliterated and Raf was hospitalized with a broken femur. 8 hours later, he had surgery to insert a metal rod into his bone held in place by 4 screws. Here's what Raf's car looked like before the accident. Now he has no car and hasn't been able to work for months. He's hired an attorney and they're currently trying to get access to footage from multiple NYPD cameras that captured the accident. We'll update you in a future episode if they're successful. This submitter was driving his Volvo XC70 early one morning to work when he fell asleep behind the wheel. The airbags deployed when the car came crashing down, and the driver immediately felt pain in his back. He woke up when the car veered off the road. He tried to steer back out of the ditch, but he wasn't able to. He missed 3 trees before the car got some air. He managed to get out of the car and call emergency services, and first responders quickly arrived at the scene. A tow truck with a crane had to be called and was able to lift his car out of the field the Volvo had landed in. The submitter ended up having a broken vertebra in his spine. Since then, he's had 3 surgeries. After several months, he's finally made a full recovery. His car also made a full recovery after he paid a $2,800 repair bill. Jeb was driving his Mercury Milan to work one very rainy morning when he approached a green light. As he proceeded through the intersection, another driver ran her red light right in front of him. The woman in her 70s stated after the accident that she hadn't seen Jeb's car. She reported some pain and was taken to a hospital to be checked out, but thankfully, Jeb was okay. Her insurance provider took responsibility even without seeing the dashcam footage, and Jeb received a settlement for twice what he'd paid for the car in the first place. He was also able to salvage his custom wheels and roof rack. KN was driving his Nissan Leaf on his way to work one morning. As he approached a green light, he noticed another car not moving and assumed the driver wasn't paying attention. It turned out the other driver had stopped for another reason one KN couldn't see or hear until it was too late. A San Francisco police car T-boned KN's car and pushed it into a light pole, totaling both vehicles. Later investigation revealed the cop car hit the Leaf's driver's door at 32 miles per hour. The cop car spun around and struck the Nissan in the back as well, shoving it hard into the light pole. A witness later said the cop car had accelerated before the impact, and both vehicles' airbags deployed. The official police report stated that the officer driving had slowed down for the intersection, and since KN didn't have comprehensive insurance coverage, he got nothing in the way of compensation after being found at fault. KN's Nissan was completely destroyed, and he was briefly hospitalized before making a full recovery. Fortunately, he was able to replace his car with another of the same year. Hey guys, if you can see that red subscribe button, that means you're not subscribed to the Wham Bam channel yet. It would mean the world to us if you would do that, so please hit that subscribe button. Thanks!